Alrighty. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. This is Cody, aka Baha, with Baha Outdoors, and I'm going to do a quick little tutorial on OnX Hunt. Um, Intro for people who've never used it before, and some features of OnX Elite that you might not have known even existed that are awesome tools. Um, Fortunately, we get some cool benefits working with Moultrie trail cameras. Moultrie Products has teamed up with OnX, and they actually have the app integrated with their trail cameras. See your trail cameras on OnX, and if you buy OnX Elite, you can get a free Moultrie camera. Or if you buy Moultrie cameras, you can get free OnX Elite, which is pretty damn cool. But I'm just going to dive right in and do a little quick tutorial on OnX. So basically, OnX is mapping software, and it is probably the one of the best, if not the best, at what it does. We put a lot of effort into this. If you're a hunter, especially public land hunter or a Western hunter, it's almost necessary now. It's so good. You can figure out exactly where you are on the world in the world, see property lines, the public land, private land, everything you could ever imagine, including some features that are unique to OnX. Um, First off, if you have Elite, most of these features are going to be on Elite. There's a free version and a premium option. Elite gives you access to all 50 states and all the data for all the states, including property lines for everything. And take the property lines with a grain of salt. Property lines are based on like GIS surveys, so they're close, but they're not perfect. So if you're unsure where a property line is, do your best to not be interfering on private land you don't have access to. Um, but overall, OnX gives you maps, waypoints, all kinds of stuff. Um, I'm going to utilize just a random area in Wyoming for what we're doing here. Bighorn National Forest is a pretty popular area. But really, going over some of the features, big thing is layers. Layers on layers on layers on layers of what you can do. First things first is turning on a state. And cool thing there, we now support Canada. So anyone in North America, I should say, should be using this, not just states. But turn on states you're going to be going to, you're hunting in, or even just ones you want to play around and look at. So I'm going to be playing around looking in Wyoming. I want to turn on Wyoming, which now gives me access to all the other layers inside Wyoming. Now, inside that, there's things that are for all, which is the private land and government land. If I turn that off and on, you can see what it's highlighting there. Government land versus not. So if you're looking for places to hunt public land, government land layer turned on is your first step. Now it's nice to have that in, see your region, and then turn it off once you really get down to where you're going to be really dialing in this software for e-scouting and etc. Because it does color everything that. So you don't want that red and green overlay on everything. And then private lands, you won't see this on this far zoomed out, but as I zoom in, you'll see private land borders, which are essential to know when you're out and about in the wilderness. Know where you can and can't go. This area right here, good one to look at. We got state land, we got national land, we got BLM land, and private land. So now that I can kind of see what's going on there, You turn off government layers. I could kind of see better in the satellite. Now, when you dial in to the individual states, there's more stuff you can do. Wyoming has different things, like the range of species. You can see where species even kind of live within reason. Different regulations, different access things. And then there's also different functionality for the state based on hunt areas. So I have like mule deer areas turned on. So as you zoom out, you can see these are the regions highlighted in green that are where your tags are valid for. Regions for different mule deer tags. So you have region C, region R, M, and the individual unit numbers. You do that obviously for anything. If we're looking for elk, they're going to be different than mule deer. I'll just have mule deer on for the time being. Now there's global layers as well too. With land and access, current conditions, roads, trails, trees, crops, soil, wildlife layers, a lot of stuff to dial in on. So you can go through these layers, turn stuff on and off that you want. Roads and trails are important if you're going to be walking in on there. You can see what the trails are all about, what kind of access is on the trail. You can click on a trail. It'll tell you information about the trail, approximately how long it is. Is it a motorized trail? Is it a hiking trail, biking trail? Things like that. Some of the other layers to play with: trees, crops, soil. You can look at timber cuts, which is huge for hunters, as well as historic wildfire information. You can see where wildfires are, which can make or break some hunts if you don't know that area burned the year before. You can also see different things for what types of trees are there, distribution of different kinds of trees, young aspen forests, all different kinds of information that OnX has put in here. And then another good one is access information from certain organizations like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And slope angles when you're out there is a cool one to put on. You can see it'll actually generate a heat map to see how steep certain slopes are. So it'll just give you a good quick visual. When you get in close to, you can turn on current conditions, see active wildfires, smoke, drought, air quality. Drought is good for e-scouting to know, obviously, if vegetation is really dry. A lot of animals might not be in that area if it's in a heavy drought area all summer. Another thing for some people that are very important is cell coverage. Taking a look, it'll let you know when and where you can and can't get cell service. Some people need to plan around that. If you don't have satellite messaging or a good satellite GPS or emergency. Or maybe you want to set up a base camp where there is cell coverage, just so you can come back in the evening and have phone service. Now, playing out layers, there's a lot of stuff you could do, turning on and off, just get down into it. Now, one of the biggest things about OnX, though, is satellite mapping, 3D mapping, topographic mapping. Actually see what's going on, kind of like boots on the ground. I'm going to turn off government lands. I'm going to zoom on in on stuff. When you zoom on in, I mean, this satellite imagery is darn impressive. I could see individual rocks, trees, paths. I mean, you really get a lot of information out of this. They do their due diligence and make sure they use the most HD updated imagery. Even if it's not the most current imagery, they'll make sure it's HD. And look at current imagery, but it might not be as HD. Looking at current is useful, though, to know burns, or if vegetation is growing, or if maybe some watering holes are full or not, depending on drought. But it might not be as HD. It might be a little blurry. But you can see all the trails, things like that. You can see individual paths. even labeling springs and water sources. Once you're kind of in an area you want to spend a little more time looking at, what you can do, you have our toolbar over here, you can set up routes. You can build routes. By clicking, you can see exactly how far, if you wanted to go one place to another from this trail, I want to be able to see how far I need to walk. Very straightforward. There's tips that let you know how everything is going. But if I wanted to just point draw, you just start clicking like you're walking through. Wanted to get over to here. That's going to tell me I got 1.7 miles, elevation gain of 1,700 feet. This is a hell of a hike. Now, you can keep mapping this out, kind of plan your whole day out, and see how tough it's going to be. You could save these routes, you could share them with your friends, change the color on them, things like that, just so you know what to do with them. The snap does use existing trails, which is nice. So I'm just going to clear this. Don't need to keep it on there. Just showing how that tool works. The next tool on here is line distance, measure distance. Extremely useful just because when you're looking at maps, it's pretty hard to tell distance and everything. Where you want to know how far away something is if you're glassing from a knob and you want to see how far that other ridge is. I'm sitting here. I want to know how far it is to right here. 889 yards. Very useful information. You also have being able just to draw and measure areas. If you wanted to draw your own border around something, you can. And then the biggest thing is adding waypoints. As you're out using this, dropping waypoints around the map, whether you see animals or other features, that's going to keep you really utilizing this properly. If this big rock is my glassing knob, put a waypoint there, change it any color I want. I can change icons. Whole list of icons. If I want it to be a glassing knob, I can use glassing area right here. I can go through, I can put notes on it. I can even add pictures. So if I'm sitting there doing this on my phone, I could take a picture from that vantage point, upload it to this, save this. Now I know what it looked like from that vantage point for future reference. Also can share all these waypoints with other people using OnX. So I'm not hunting this year. I'm sending a buddy out to my location that I thought was awesome, which a lot of people seem to not ever share their hunting spots. But with a good buddy, you might. You'd send them all your waypoints, pictures, all of that, and they know exactly what you know within reason. So waypoints are very, very useful, but really whatever you want in there, especially tracking animals, bedding areas. Maybe once you shoot an animal, every time you find blood, put a waypoint down, and eventually you'll build a whole trail. See other people, you can put that in there. Fence crossings, you name it. Maybe you have to drop your backpack before you're running after an animal. Throw a waypoint down, mark it as your gear. A lot you can do with the waypoint. If you have your cell phone app, there is a tracker option as well. You can run tracker and it will just follow you and leave a trail down as you walk. It's very beneficial for one, either backtracking, seeing how far you went for the day, showing someone your path in. Maybe you shot something deep in there and you need to send that to a friend to say, hey, I need help packing it out. Here's my trail I walked in on. Now they know. Now, one of the most useful features in here, besides waypointing, is we have the option to make our map three-dimensional. Now, the 3D mapping in here is really impressive. Really gets you feeling like you're there and what this terrain is going to look like. Now, what you can do as well to make it visually a little bit more appealing is you can actually do 3D elevation exaggeration. If you feel maybe this isn't as steep as I thought it was when I was actually there, I want to be able to see a little bit more difference between things. You can actually turn the exaggeration on, and all of the peaks, the mountains, get a little bit more advanced, a little bit more exaggerated. Now it's just more of a visual, see what's going on more than anything else. But it is helpful to know, oh, there's a nice valley there. It's not just hidden. See where this ridge line is. So the 3D mapping is huge, especially for Western hunters. Now, this is regular satellite imagery. There's hybrid. Puts topo lines on here. If you know how to read a topographic map, very, very beneficial. Now, if you use the regular topo, there's this option that I have already turned on called LiDAR. LiDAR is high definition, and what this does is highlights everything like it was 3D scanned. This is next level mapping right here. It lets you see every single bench, every single rock, every single ridge with all of the vegetation taken off. Stuff that you'd never see from a normal satellite imagery. Now you'll be able to utilize this, find travel corridors or little hidden areas that you really didn't even know existed. Now you can just e-scout it digitally ahead of time. Like, I didn't know this little creek was right here. That thing cutting through. Got a little bench in here. Got these little fingers. Different areas that just may not have stood out when looking through satellite imagery. LiDAR mapping is an absolute game changer when it comes to learning the details of the land. But getting familiar with this can really make it feel like you're out there getting a better, I guess, feel for the land without having to take multiple trips out there. Obviously, boots on the ground, glass, actually walking around out there is going to be the best way to see a region. But this is pretty darn close to the next best thing. Certain areas of the country have leaf-off imagery where it'll actually do satellite imagery, high definition, with no leaves on the trees, so you can see different stuff. And then recent imagery as well is what I was talking about, where you can go through, actually see when these pictures were taken. This was a month ago. You can see the green up here. You can go back a little bit further into the summer. Kind of just see how much greener some of this is midsummer. You could utilize this information. I mean, we look at March, we got snow. So you can utilize this information for when you're going out. So let's say you're hunting this area in December. Now I have this imagery to know that in December, I really do expect this to be snowy in this region. Granted, you could tell it's not as HD, but very beneficial just to know it's like at times. I can turn off recent imagery and I get that most HD region. Everything on here also is ready to be used with weather. So if I had a route set up or waypoint set up, I can actually look at the weather for that area. If I save this waypoint, I can go right to the weather at that waypoint, see exactly what's going on right now, what the wind is, pressure. It even has AI metrics to see if it's good movement times for deer. And give you hourly forecasts. I mean, it's a lot of information, including what's upcoming. And then you can even get a wind calendar. And you can set wind on here, and it's going to keep updating you what the wind is. You can even pick what your optimal wind is. If you're up on a knob and you're always wanting to look down and you don't want the wind to be northwest, west, or south, that means I'm going to say north, northeast, east, southeast, south. That's ideal wind. And it's actually going to let you know and tell you when it's good or bad wind to be up in that area. Don't go to that area if wind's at your back, type of thing. We should be over on a different knob. Very useful for people who are stand hunting, like whitetails. You put that in your stand, put the wind calendar on there, and it's going to let you know right away. Wind is great at that location. You should probably be out there hunting. Very useful feature. Waypoint, because I don't need it. And then one other quick feature to show off is some of these beta features that they're working on. So what I found was really cool with what they've been doing is if I find cool terrain feature that I want to take a little bit more information about, I go over right here, and I turn on OnX Labs. I can look at different types of slope. It'll highlight those types of slope for me. It's graying out the ones that aren't. If I'm looking for southern slopes, I'm going to highlight all the southern. If I'm looking for north, I'm going to highlight all the north facing slopes. You can do the same thing for angles. But what I find is really useful is viewshed. So I could turn on viewshed and I could put this on a spot and it's going to show me from that vantage point what I can and can't see. Within reason. Again, it's just taking the terrain, the mapping information. If I'm on a certain knob, it's going to show me what I can and cannot see. So I could hike up there and I think I'm going to be able to see this whole area underneath here. But it's steep enough that I can't see any of it. Completely shadowed. I can see this side of the slope, this side of the slope. I cannot see down in here. Very useful information for when you're picking out a glassing knob. Especially when you're looking at glassing knobs, find when you've never been out there before. I don't know this region. I've never been to this area of Wyoming. I am just picking this randomly just to show off these features. Probably would want to be on the other side of Hessing there. Here. But Viewshed is awesome. This is a great tool. If you notice too, the circles are actually giving you kind of a distance measurement around it. At 1.4 miles. So back to your OnX. Overall, that's just a quick rundown of some of the features. Trail cameras is another one. That's for today. Anything you do, you can save in your My Content, create folders for all these individual regions that you're going to be doing. You can share that folder with your friends and family so they can see all your waypoints, your pings, or your buddies. And this stuff stays with your account forever. So the more work you put into it, the better. A lot of information to save for future hunts. If you don't have OnX, give it a try. There's a 7-day free trial of Elite. And then after that, you can always get that extended by purchasing a Moultrie camera. A little bit of a perk from them. Or, in my opinion, it is extremely reasonably priced. Like $100 for the whole year to have this software. Most people spend a lot more than $100 on random pieces of hunting gear. This is the ultimate piece of hunting gear. Definitely worth $100 a year. They put a lot of effort into this software. They're worth getting paid for it. Also, the Elite gives you some benefits too. You can see right above my camera here, it says Elite Pro deals. That allows you to get discounts at a bunch of different manufacturers, different organizations. First Light Science Central, Tethered, Weatherby, all kinds of awesome things teamed up with it. Moultrie, Primo's, Vortex. So if you're an Elite member, they give you discounts. And then some things that are built for Elite only, like the route builder, the terrain feature. Then I didn't go into hunt research tools, but that's something you can play around with yourself too. You can actually help pick out hunts, like all of the draw odds for a region. You can put in, I have 2 points for Wyoming and I want to hunt elk. Show me anything that has a higher than 10% success rate of drawing that tag. And it'll list everything out for you and actually will help you pick regions to start looking at. So a lot of feature rich extras here with Elite. Again, play around with it, have some fun with it. There's probably all kinds of YouTube videos and other videos on some of the expert features of OnX. And there are features on the cell phone that are a little different, including Apple Watch. You can use your Apple Watch to just place waypoints as you're walking. So, heck of a tool. Give it a try and have fun with it. Get e-scouting. Make your hunting trip a lot better. That's OnX. All right. Back to being normal. If I can cut that there if I want to use that for something. So